All right, it's another episode, another Let's Talk About Love is Blind session. I'm really excited. Again, my name is Brenda, and this is,
Sarah.
yes, and we're Brenda and Sarah, and we're going to talk about Love is Blind. And again, let us know what you all want us to talk about next. But first, you need to like and subscribe to our channel, just so that more people can see it, and we can keep doing this for you all. So, we watched the wedding episode,
Oh,
and I think it's crazy that now it's literally only an episode because they've had to in the past have two
hmm
different episodes for the wedding. And as soon as I clocked in and I saw exactly, it was like an hour and 20 minutes, and I said, "Oh, Marissa and Ramses ain't gonna get married." I was like, "There are not three weddings."
I did that too. I definitely paused when I was watching. I was like, "Oh, how long is this?" And I was like, "Oh no, there's only gonna be two
Like,
weddings."
there's no way. I was like, "There's absolutely no way how they're gonna do this." So I don't know. It's just interesting because the first couple seasons, like we're seeing a lot of people getting to the altar. And
Mhm.
now these last couple seasons, we're seeing a lot of people dropping out before the end and only having maybe two or three weddings, which is really interesting.
Yeah,
An interesting trend. And I wonder what Love is Blind is gonna do in the future to prevent that, because it's ridiculous, like to get to that point. But I guess at the same time, it's kind of like keep having all these people on here saying no, what else works. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
yeah. I will say that I've had some time to think about it, and I do hope in the future they put something in place to at least get people to that day to add a little bit more suspense. But what I have seen, at least in this season, is still consistent with what's happening on some of the other spinoffs, like Habibi. That happened there.
Mm.
There was a couple. Spoiler: if you've not seen Habibi, woo. But there are some couples who don't make it to the wedding you think they're
Yeah.
going to. And I would say similarly, you saw that if you watch the UK one. So not too frustrated about that. I think for me, what I'm not really feeling about this season is that some of the conversations to me, not only do they feel forced, but
Mhm.
I think the way this particular episode opens up and the conversation it brings us to, one, we're lacking some context because it's clear that some stuff has happened off camera, that we're not privy to, so we're having to fill in the blanks. And then honestly, the scene with Marissa and Ramses was probably one of the most uncomfortable breakup scenes I've ever watched in my life,
Mhm.
TV or movies combined.
Yeah, it's traumatizing.
It was very traumatizing. It was very triggering, and like I commend her for the level of openness and transparency that she allowed us to see on camera. It was raw, it was real. I think a lot of us have experienced those kinds of emotions like that in the dating process. I know I have. I had to
Mhm.
pause. It happened within the first, I remember like literally I stopped 11 minutes and I think I texted you and I was like, the first 11 minutes though, y'all, like,
Yeah.
it
It
was a lot.
it was definitely like a okay, picking up from last week. We're gonna show you here, and she's just like pleading with him, like, what is going on? We were almost here, and now you talk to these people. And he was just like, nope, nope, nope. And it was hard because we keep, like, on one end, you're so excited because all these black women, brown skinned, beautiful black women, are chosen, right, in this season. And we're seeing all of them be failed. And her situation, like, ultimately, I think we're all glad that Ramses decided to make the decision that he did so that they wouldn't get stuck in a marriage and she was completely unhappy and being treated some type of way. But he could have shut this down a long time ago. You know what I mean? He shouldn't have been like she said something real clear. She said, "You shouldn't have come on here in the first place." And that's the
Mm-hmm.
honest to God truth. I think a lot of these people need to talk to their family and friends before they go on the show. Instead of trying to keep it in secret and all this type of stuff, they need to talk to them and say, like, do you really think that I'm ready for this? Do you think I can handle this? And have people come at them like you would if you were defending your thesis for a doctorate or something like that. Because it was really, it's kind of one of those things like you just talk to your friends and now you're realizing right before you're supposed to get married that your ex-wife was hurt, huh? Like, and now you care about this lady's feelings. And I heard something through the grapevine or through gossip sites or something that his ex-wife was getting married again or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
And that could have been one of those trigger type of things, allegedly, like Jesse Wu says. Allegedly, like she
Allegedly.
says. Um, that he was dealing with that. So that might have been something. But even if that, like, you don't need to go on this show, man, if you're not over that situation and not over how your marriage ended. And as a person who is divorced, it can, it's a lot. Some stuff comes at you in waves, but you have to be able to separate that. Like, I couldn't go on a show today and be in love with somebody and really be into them and then come home and be like, oh, but what about my divorce? I'm scared that I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to get divorced again. Like, no, that's why you need to do therapy before you start this process to
Exactly.
make sure that some of this stuff doesn't come out. So I think that was the part that was really irritating to me. It's just like, dude, you needed therapy. Like, and I think I read something for her where she was saying that he doesn't believe in therapy or doesn't support therapy or doesn't have a therapist or whatever, and he needs one. He needs one badly.
Yeah, I'm sorry, black men. Y'all need to go to therapy. Like,
Mhm.
I it was a very difficult scene to watch. It was. And again, I don't know if Marissa will ever see this, but thank you for your transparency. I think a lot of us saw ourselves in that moment. I think the thing that was really frustrating for me though is that I think, and maybe this is a symptom of the editing, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
Mhm.
Ramses initially, up until I think they started having conversations in the apartment, just seemed a little bit like he was very much the feminist and very much like social justice and very like liberal. We're not going to get into all the politics here, but he
Mhm.
just seemed like somebody who was open minded and just, really like logical and thinks things through. I think the one thing that really agitates me about this moment, and I said it actually um, in our last conversation, is the moment she came out of the bathroom and sat down on the bed with him. It looked like in his eyes that he had already made up his mind and
Yeah.
was just trying to gather the courage to tell her that he did not want to get married. I said it,
Yeah.
and I was really, really hoping that they would at least see the whole experiment through. And it was very frustrating to see
Mhm.
that he went and had conversations with outside people. And I guarantee you, he had already made his decision before he walked into that apartment. Like, he
Yeah.
knew. He
Mhm.
walked
Just
after
like
having
Tim
those.
did.
Yeah. And yeah, that's exactly what it reminded me of. It very much was reminding me of the conversation between Tim and Alex. Like, you walked into this room and your mind was already made up. And
Yeah.
unbeknownst to the young lady in the room, she has no idea how you're feeling. She was honestly, I think everybody, including her, was blindsided. I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna share, like, I'm scared or whatever, but I want to work through this or whatever, and not so
Hmm.
like the part about like I'm not sure about our energies.
Yeah, that was weird to me. Yeah. Like
It,
she's too much for him.
yeah, that was
It is,
oof, that was bad. You
yeah.
could just see how like her demeanor she just shrinks. Oh,
Hmm. It was because that was the thing. It was just like, so she's too much for you? What? Like she's always been bubbly. Like she was bubbly in the pod. She was talkative. Like from what I could tell from the edit and the videos that they showed us from the pods and from what they showed us, post pods,
hmm
it felt like her energy was pretty level. Now, one of the things that she said is she suffers from an autoimmune disorder. And then she also said that she was in law school and she was traveling to Baltimore. So there was it Vogue article? I forgot wherever the article was that she did the interview. And she said, look, it was a crazy day. He said, like, he texted her or something that he needed to talk or something like that.
mm.
And so she ended up coming home, and then like they're having this conversation, and she's just like, oh, like she had no idea that that's where the conversation was going. She was thinking, okay, maybe like you said, just a couple little doubts or whatever else. We'll figure it out. We'll push forward. But he was completely off. And she said that they had like a conversation, and she said that she gave him the opportunity and said like, okay, we could just date. We don't have to get married now. We could just date. And it was a hard no for him.
Interesting.
So she gave him an out to do something less than get married, and he was still like, nah.
This is the same
And
man who just a few episodes ago was basically like, either I'm raw dogging you or else. Like, excuse me?
yeah.
What?
And I'm like,
Wow.
what could she do? The only thing that I like, based on the edit, it seems like, oh wow, she doesn't have energy to have sex every day, so I don't want to get married to her. Like that's what the edit is giving me. The edit is giving me she doesn't have enough energy to have sex with me every day, so we're not gonna make like this isn't gonna work. Hopefully he'll give us a different reason, but I still don't think it's gonna be good enough to justify that conversation that they had. So,
Yeah, I hope they dig into it at the reunion. I hope
but
that
Nick and Vanessa going.
they're not. And just to be clear to anybody who sees this or watch this, like we don't think that Nick and Vanessa should be doing the reunion, but we know we don't have a
Yeah,
choice, and we don't work at that, we don't work at the streaming
Kinetic,
service. So
right?
we don't
So,
have
yes.
power. But
Mhm.
if I could have my choice, I'd be very clear on who my choice was. It would probably be a Love Is Blind couple that is still together, because they have
Mhm.
gone through the experience and they know what it's like to deal with these edits and the production, and honestly just the truncated timeline. Like, this not a lot of time to get to know somebody. So
Mhm.
I feel like they would ask the right questions,
Yeah.
um, and maybe even some questions that we as viewers aren't even thinking of.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, Ramsey says something that helps us understand his state of mind, or maybe he'll do an interview or something like that. Because I'm kind of like, what is going on in your head where you just spring this on her last minute?
I think he spared her. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he spared her,
yeah.
but it was just the way it happened. It was just very sad to see.
Yeah, I don't think he could have done it any other way, unfortunately. Like,
Yeah.
I think he could have done it sooner.
Mhm.
Because I would say that if you're in a place where if someone's offering you even behind the scenes, like, okay, well, we don't need to get married, we can just continue dating, and you don't even want to date that person anymore. To me, that decision then was not made after those conversations. I think that maybe
Yeah.
those conversations were just confirmation from him for him to move on. I think he had
Yeah.
been thinking about it for a while. And honestly, we may have seen that in some of the other episodes where, at one point she was on the balcony and she seemed kind of like upset a little bit and they were going back and
Hmm.
forth. She was in the kitchen, she wasn't feeling well. Like they just had, and then, their military conversations, him meeting his
Yeah.
friends and it still being tense, meeting her mom and that being tense. I just think that he had probably made up his mind and was probably trying to figure out what would be the best time to peace out. And I'm sure
Yeah.
those conversations were kind of just like the cherry on top to be like, oh, I honestly, those conversations, I feel like he used them as a scapegoat.
Hmm.
I personally feel like even if those conversations had not taken place, I think Ramses would have called it off. I do.
Yeah. Uh, it's sad, but yeah, it is what it is. Best of luck to Marissa, and I pray that she finds love with someone who loves her and cares for her. So we got Ashley and Tyler. So Ashley and
Ooh.
Tyler were the first couple we saw go to the altar for this episode. So we'll start with them. I mean, I thought, well, they did the bachelorette and bachelor parties, which are it's so interesting because they probably have to do like their own afterwards because they pick these real tame type things that they do, whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say the girls' bachelorette party was whack. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
It was whack. It was like a slumber party at probably
Yeah.
some random open event space, and they just put some like TP tents or whatever things there. And I was just
Hmm.
like, what is happening? At least the boys got to go to a Wizards game. Like, y'all, there's
Yeah.
so many really fun places to go in DC, and
Yeah.
I just, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So they got to do that. And they actually got to go again this past weekend. So, like the boys from Love is Blind. But in terms of Ashley and Tyler, like the wedding day, I think that if I had not seen all of the spoilers and all of the things about Tyler's crazy life, I feel like I would have been like, oh, wow, this is cute. Like, this is cute. But I feel like I spent the whole time being like, oh, girl, if you only knew, especially when she's like talking about her intuition and oh, my intuition would tell me like if something was wrong and stuff like that. And I was just like, girl, no, your intuition can't even catch this. Like, you would think that Love is Blind would have caught all this stuff that are just regular red flags for Tyler, but they caught nothing. And it was just sad. It was just it was just sad for me when usually like if I hadn't known, it would have just been like, oh wow, this is so cute.
Yeah, I think that was also another frustrating moment. Like Ashley and Tyler's wedding was very beautiful. The fact that their parents were both there.
Hmm.
I think that it was interesting the conversation between Tyler and his mom.
Yeah.
Knowing what we know now, it was
Hmm.
it was a hard conversation to listen to. Just it was just hard to not give him the side eye the whole wedding. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's just
Yeah. It was kind of like the whole
yeah,
time I was just like, ugh.
yeah.
Like
Like
when he talking to his friends about wanting to go to the baby making station or whatever, I'm like, oh, so you trying to trap her? Oh, okay. Like, not only marry her, but you trying to trap her too? Because look, all right, and here's for anybody who has not been on TikTok or YouTube, this is probably the time where you need to pause this video and leave. But if you have been on the TikToks and you know all the things that are happening, like Jesse Wu did a video with Simone Redwine, and Simone pulled all of his background checks, like pulled a full background check to the point where you're like, dang, I might have gotta hire her anytime you get serious with somebody because he legit had like 7 evictions. 7 evictions. And the last one was like in July or August and of last year. And they started the show in September. the end of September. So this is really giving hobo, like, not even like we got with Leo about, oh wow, he lives with his parents, whatever else. But at least he don't like at least he has a home and like a bed to lay in. Tyler out here with full evictions, plus saying that he wanted his child and then pretty much changed his mind and has child support cases out. All of these types of things are happening, like things that can be aren't really disputable. So I'm really
Mm-hmm.
curious about how they're gonna approach this for the reunion, if he's gonna get off easy or what decisions Ashley is gonna make. I think that's what we really want to know, because apparently the contract says that you cannot divorce before the reunion. So the earliest that she can divorce looks to be the 31st. Is the earliest that she could divorce, because that's the day after the reunion, if that's what she chooses to do. And if she did that, then she wouldn't be eligible. She would likely not be eligible for like a an annulment, because she would have been married for over a year.
Mm.
Uh, so I mean, it's a lot of interesting things, and I feel like their whole wedding was just like, the fact that he swindled her family, her mom is like, oh, we like him, and all that type of stuff. Like everybody is, feeling him and fell for it. It's just,
It's tough to watch. It
yeah.
is.
And
It is.
Netflix dropped the ball. Like they think the questionnaires are enough. They're not enough. Do background check me, please. Like, do I have the job that I say I have? Like,
Do I have a home, like a
do I have a
physical
home?
place? Not saying that you can't, because some people might be couch surfing, but it's just
You
if you're
don't need
gonna
to
be
get
getting
married if your
married,
couch.
exactly. Like if you're trying to get
Like,
married, you should have your own space. Like so, this is where I have some serious gripes with the producers and the casting directors. I feel like this is one of the few seasons where I feel like the women, with the exception of Hannah, were not protected at all.
yeah.
At
Hmm.
all. Like I feel like they were put into some really, really, and I guess with the exception of Taylor, because I think
Yeah.
Garrett's fine. But the rest of the girls, I feel like they were put into some what could have been some really dangerous situations for them. And some people might be like, "Oh, you're probably being a little bit like too extra about using that word." But no, I think we have to remember that when they were all in Mexico, I think most, if not all of them, basically said that they had sex.
Hmm.
So, and I mean, let's really be honest, like, are they using condoms? Probably not. So,
Yeah. They're grown. Hmm.
especially the fact that we're dealing with a cast that's older too. So, they're probably
Yeah.
not, they're probably like, oh yeah, we're getting married, whatever. Um, so you have that going on, and then we're seeing this season instances of people who are basically cheating, and that's
Hmm.
just what we know of and see. Who's to say what
Yeah.
actually happened and what went down that the cameras and conversations didn't catch, and things that weren't revealed. We're catching people who quite frankly hit it and quit it. When Ramses,
Hmm.
he got what he needed and wanted, and kind of was like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
You got Tim, who was basically like, I feel like you're looking for another sister. I don't know. Some stuff's got to be figured out there. But I just don't
Yeah.
feel that they did a good job of vetting the men.
Yeah.
I just don't. And maybe that's just the microcosm of this area. People wanting to project their jobs, people wanting to protect their
Hmm.
reputations. I actually had a friend who applied to
Oh,
Love Is
really?
Blind. I did. I'm not going to reveal the name, but she applied. She lives in the Baltimore area, in that metro area part, and was not selected.
Hmm.
And she also works in the government. So it's one of those things where it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And when I, told her, she has not watched the season. When I told her like about the cast and stuff like that, she was just like, I'm 100% certain that it's because my casting tape I put in, she was just like her authentic self,
Mm-hmm.
which might have come off as like corny to the producers, because they're
Mm.
all looking for an element of drama. Like they're not really looking
Yeah.
for the guy or the girl next door. They probably want someone with a little bit of attitude, like, this is what I'm saying, and if you can't agree to what I'm saying, then maybe we shouldn't be getting married. But I'm looking for the right one, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who can match me, my swag.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Hannah.
Yeah, they're looking for a personality, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of the people here that, quite frankly, probably should be on the show, um, they're just not entertaining for it enough
Yeah.
for
But
TV.
I would say that like Ashley and Alex don't come off entertaining on TV. Like they didn't show their personalities at all. Like
I think that
on
might
the
be the.
show. Yeah, like they might be cool, but they just and I could tell like Alex, I watch her TikToks and stuff like that, and she has a little spunk to her, but they don't really show it that often.
No,
But
I
I
think they
do
got it.
think,
I think they got bad edits. Like, oh, let's make them
yeah,
seem a little like docile and boring or whatever. Man,
yeah, because I just think that the least that Love is Blind or any of these dating reality shows could do is do a real background check on people to at least make sure that 85% even of what they say aligns. Because I mean, we all like people have the capacity to just be like, oh, yeah, I'm in, whatever, like with their career, but maybe it's not as big or something. But like, okay, you say that you make $100,000 a year. I want to see your pay stubs.
mm-hmm.
I think that is reasonable just to do the due diligence and then let everything else play out on its own. Because I remember there was a season of Married at First Sight where somebody was homeless, pretty much
I
like
I do remember
the
that.
girl was homeless and it's like, oh yeah, and her stuff was in the car and all that type of
I
stuff. And
remember
it's
that.
just like, yeah, it's probably not the best fit for TV if you're relying on this to be, an opportunity for you to stay somewhere after it's over. So I think that was the big thing for me as I'm listening to what they're saying and what the facts are
Mm.
allegedly about Tyler, like even outside of the kids. Because the kids stuff, I'm like, okay, maybe you could figure out how to forgive it. Like, okay, he got the three kids, whatever, we'll figure it out. But the fact that like he has so many evictions and he owes people money, like somebody is suing him, all this type of stuff, like those type of things start to impact me more
Mm.
because it's like, oh, we trying to buy a house and we can't buy a house, or we're even trying to get an apartment and I got to put the apartment on my name and I got to make sure that I have like the three times income and all these different types of things to make it work. And if I wanted to do that, then I could have been single doing that. Like, if I want to buy a house by myself, I could be single doing that. If I want to buy an apartment by myself, I could be single doing that. So I think that's the irritating part for me, even outside of the kid situation, which is bad in its own right. But that he has like the financial problems that were easily uncovered by somebody just pulling a background check. And they might not have caught the one that was the latest one, but they would have caught the ones before where it's like, oh, he ain't paid. Like,
Yeah, like,
he
oh, there's a
ain't
pattern
paid.
here.
And I think that that's the least they could do for putting all these people into these situations is not rely on me to be honest about my background and say, oh yeah, I'm a vice president of sales at ABC company, and come to find out I'm like an account executive or something like that. That's a big difference. Like, somebody should be saved from me if I were to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was the hardest part for me watching that. Is just like, dang, she about to be locked with this dude, and this is a beautiful wedding. She's probably, thinking they had a beautiful night afterwards. And I mean, thankfully, she don't look to be pregnant. So
Yeah,
grateful for that.
she was probably like,
Uh,
absolutely not right now, which works out in her benefit.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I have to agree with you. This might also be a hot take, but I have to wonder if they're not doing background checks because
that can't be.
you guys, like when we apply for jobs, like there are some jobs that do background checks, and I'm just wondering, like I don't think I got the budget for it. Um, I hope it's not a situation where they're doing background checks and they saw it and they were like,
Oh God,
because
there's no way they could be doing real background checks. There's
because
no way.
someone's like, oh, you got evicted. Well, we just, that doesn't have nothing to do with what's going on over here. Like,
Man, it'd be one thing if it's like one eviction 10 years ago. Okay, cool. That's fine. But if we're talking about multiple evictions in the last 3, 4 years, that's a no. Like, like that's a no. Don't set these girls up like that. Because it's one thing to put somebody on like Hannah, like a Hannah who has like the personality that can be a little bit off-putting and people are trying to see how they feel about her, like that type of thing. It's one thing to choose her to try to see if we could get some drama, but it's another thing to choose people who have no, like outside of their personality, they have no need to be married. Like that's the
none.
part that's irritating.
And also, while your girl Hannah didn't have a job, if you follow her on social media, she definitely got a job recently in DC. So she's employed. So
Yeah. And it seemed like she knew how to take care of her money
yeah,
because, she taught Nikki D all he needs to know. So,
exactly. So, while, you might not like her personality and how, she comes off, gotta give the girl credit. Like she knows how to keep a job. She knows how to stay
yeah,
employed. And not to say that
she handled
Tyler
her business.
doesn't.
Tyler
Tyler
doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't. Like
he's just,
he's just swindling people.
yeah, he's
That's my thing. Like I
irresponsible.
wanted to like him. I was really excited about him because he was coming out of the pods and he was like, I'm gonna marry her. But now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh, so you said made my mark. Like,
He was like, she's fine, bet. She got a body, bet. She got her own
mm-hmm,
business and coin, bet.
mm-hmm,
Started talking about kids immediately. Like, sir, you got 3 whole kids over here
right.
and nowhere to live. So that's why we didn't see his
Yeah,
place.
his place. Because he don't have nowhere. Because his place would have been with old girl probably. So yeah, that's
That's why we
is
saw
it,
them on the couch.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we go from what the most doomed couple to like, okay, here's success. Here's what success looks like.
My fellow scientists, they are frolicking in San Diego right now, baby. We're going to see them at the reunion and they're
Right.
still going to be married. So
Yeah,
I'm
they're
not
still
even,
married. Because did we see what Garrett looks like now? Everybody is like,
we need to do
oh yeah.
that video challenge where it's like, I ain't never representing, where now his hair is
Hmm.
all long and flowing in the weird. I was like, okay,
Exactly.
girl, you put a
Because if
little
we
seasoning on it, okay?
let me see if I can find Garrett's picture because it's clear that like let's see if we can. All right, I'm about to pull up his Instagram because I feel like Garrett is on like glow up
He's on glow up season.
seriousness.
And y'all, I'm going to eat my words because the first time we got on here and we saw Garrett, I was about to clown him. And I was
Yeah,
just,
because this is the Garrett we saw, right? So we saw this. They were like, oh wow, look at Garrett. And then it's like this was him
Oh wait, our fellow friends can't see it.
Oh, oops. Hold on, let me go back. Let's put this on here. All right. So we have Garrett. This is the Garrett that we saw,
That
right?
was the one that was clowning. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Quantum physicist. All
I
right.
was like, does he have
And
time
then
for love?
we go down here and we see Garrett now with like a look at him.
He looked like that guy from Vampire Diaries, Ian
Mhm.
Somerhalder, however you say. I'm butchering his last name, but that's what he looked like a little bit, especially right there.
He
Look at
got the
that.
middle part, all of that.
That man is
Look
in
at
right now, living his
Look
best
at what this person said. The wife effect is real. The
life.
wife effect is real. Because it's like he got to be married to her still because he went from coming out looking like this to growing his hair out and looking like, so this is them at the Wizards game. Look at him with his little trucker hat, his hair pulled back here. His little This dude is married. This is giving married.
It's giving wifed up.
This is giving wifed up. Everybody else, like Ramses, looks tired. Whoever this guy is, we didn't get to know him. And then you got Bodon back there. He's probably like, dang, I really should have tried to seal the deal with Marissa.
I mean,
You got baby daddy Tyler. And then you got, you know, old
is that
boy
Tim?
Tim, yeah. So that was them at the Wizards game. But look at Garrett, man.
They
He's
said, did
giving I'm
anyone
married.
mistake Garrett for Joe Goldberg from the Netflix show You?
And this is last year. So this is last year. This.
Yeah, yeah, she put some swag on that boy, and I ain't mad at it, Taylor girl. Cheers to you, because
Yes.
I'm eating my words, and I eat my words with Taylor too, because I remember her outfit, and I was like, oh, that's cute, but I really am not feeling these colors, like some of these colors.
Hmm.
I eat my words. I am. I
Look
think
at
that.
him.
Look at
That's
that.
giving married.
Look at
That's
that.
that's
And it
giving
matches her
married.
outfit too. Can we talk about
Yeah,
how
because
they
people are
ate?
saying
They
the
are eating in these reunions. I mean, look at that. Oh, girl.
hmm
That outfit is
yep.
giving Met Gala. Mm.
Yes, it's giving beautiful. So I don't know. I think we definitely learned a lot just from that. So I think Taylor and Garrett, I'm glad that her dad went in there with Garrett
Hmm.
and helped him with his bow tie, and they had their conversation. And he finally had his conversation with his parents. And at first I was like, Mom, you need to shut up, like be quiet, chill out, chill out. But then to find out that both of their parents got married on the 13th
That was
and
very
they're getting
interesting.
married on the 13th, I thought that was pretty coincidental. And then from there, I was kind of like, oh yeah, they're gonna make it. Like they're saying yes. Um, so I think I was excited about them. It's one of those things where it stinks because for all the couples that they're like, it's not gonna be a problem. They're gonna get married. It kind of turns boring in that sense,
Mm.
even though it should just be like a happy moment and you should be like, yes, happy for them, which I felt like I still was, but it was still like, okay, cool. We expected this from the moment we found out they're both scientists. Like, all right,
I know,
cool, they're meant to be.
with their tattoos and whatnot. I was like, what are the odds?
Mhm. Yeah, what are the odds? That one, that was good casting for Love Is Blind. Everything else, yeah. But this particular one, I'm glad that they were able to meet. And as far as we can tell, they've joined the number of successful couples that Love Is Blind has had, which at this point really is about one a season. It seems like maybe two if we're lucky. So
Yeah,
really
I think
happy
the
about that.
only time we got more than two was season. Which season is Brett and
Chicago.
Tiffany on?
Oh, oh
Seattle.
yeah, Brett and Tiffany was Seattle. So this is
Because we,
seven,
cause we got at
six, four.
least three or four couples
Yeah, because they had three.
for
Because they
sure.
had um yeah, because it was Brett and Tiffany, Kwame, and oh
And
girl,
Is it Chelsea?
Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea,
And then we
Kwame
got
and Chelsea,
and
and then Bliss
Bliss.
and that.
Yeah.
So that was three. Yeah, because was Houston? Did we get three in Houston?
Which season was Houston?
Um, that's the one with the two that the one that just had a baby. Um,
Oh,
uh, Alexa.
oh, my girl Alexa. She's fabulous.
Yeah, I think
I think it was
that was
just
the
two.
season before Brett and Tiffany,
So that was
right?
what, season
Three.
three? Which, by the way, season four and season three, did some research, are the two longest seasons for Love is Blind. Season four had 16 episodes, and
Oh
season
wow.
three had 15.
Mm.
Seasons six, which was the one we just saw recently with Clay and AD, and this season are the shortest seasons in the entire
Mm.
franchise.
Probably because they don't have so many people going to the altar. Because that's the thing. Like, if the people actually go to the altar, then you end up having at least two wedding episodes, and you have more people to cover for longer.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we really don't have as many people to cover. Because let's see, for season three, it was Alexa and Brennan. They got married, and then
Who was season five?
oh, that was Zanab and Cole, Raven and SK, Colleen and Matt. But didn't Colleen and Matt get back together?
Maybe.
I think.
Season five is actually the shortest. There's only 11 episodes.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting because I mean Chicago. I think we had a lot of people get to the altar, but not as many accepted. And then we
Mm.
also we know from there like Jared and Ayana didn't get married.
Mm.
But it is interesting. It's all
Wait, I thought
interesting
they
to
got
me.
married and got
Oh,
divorced.
they got married, but they got divorced. That's what I
Yeah,
meant.
that's what
They got
happened.
married, but they got divorced. And then I think Deeply said no at the altar. Um,
Oh, Natalie
to
said
Shane.
no at the altar.
Natalie said no to Shane. Then Mallory say no. No, Mallory, no. Yeah, because Mallory still ended up talking to somebody on
I think
there.
so.
So I mean, it was just a lot. But this season, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm happy for Taylor and Garrett that we at least got one successful couple. And hoping that they've had a successful year. It seems like it based on his pictures.
Mhm.
And then um I hope that Ashley's able to safely get out. She seems like she's in good, like doing well in terms of her online persona. But I hope that she's not, trying to fake it for the cameras. I hope she has good people around her. I hope that she's not with him. I hope that she wasn't making excuses for him. I hope that maybe she found out early on and was like, oh yeah, this is not gonna work
That's my hope.
before she wasted too much time. Um
It
and
would be
then he
devastating to hear if she found most of this out as we were finding out.
yeah. Cause if she says that, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, this is because I've heard that she's been in comments being like, oh, you don't know all the facts and blah blah blah. But man, Simone pulled the facts, like pulled court records
Y'all,
and
Maryland case
all
search
the
is not a
things.
game,
Yeah,
okay?
like pulling up the case search, all of the things, and it's
He
kind of
had
like,
some beef over on this side in Upper
yeah.
Marlboro. I saw a couple pieces. I was like, ooh.
hmm And the other thing about him is I noticed he was in multiple counties. So
Mm-hmm.
he's been in Virginia, he's been in multiple counties in Maryland, all over the place. And I'm just like, what is going on with you? Like, it's not even like, oh, you're just in this one place. He was just traveling over the world being a swindler.
He was wherever the woman was.
hmm Yeah, so word out to all of us as women, let's not be the home. I know you want to be his piece, but you do not need to be his home too. He's not contributing. You might need to pull a Simone and do a background check and
Yeah.
figure out what's going on because that right there was not it. Every time I hear about it and I look at it, I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, you got somebody that gave you, loaned you over $10,000 and you owe them and you aren't married to them.
Why are y'all loaning people 10K? That's
Like, please
my
don't.
question. That is my
Especially you're not even married to them. Like, no. Mm-mm. No, no,
question.
no,
You
no.
lucky to
And
get
even if
fresh
you
cooked
are,
food.
like, yeah. So I don't know. That was Love is Blind for this year. Um, I've heard slight spoilers for the reunion, but I was trying not to listen to them because I actually do kind of want to be surprised
Oh, I've heard nothing. So
of what's
I've been
happening.
staying off the socials for it because I just
Yeah,
want to be
because
able
my
to
TikTok algorithm is a mess.
see. I've been
But
staying off TikTok. See, that's why I don't know what's going on, and that's fine.
yeah, TikTok ruining everything. But I hope that, Nick and uh Vanessa do something to kind of like, I know that they at this point, I think they filmed the reunion either last week or the week before last. So it's been a little bit of time. So some of the stuff that's out now was not out at the time about Tyler.
Mm.
But I hope they can at least get on him about like, you ain't know what these kids ain't know what you look like. Like, how you gonna say that? Like, that's like when you got pictures of them.
I just don't feel like
It's just
that's
like,
their personality.
yeah.
And I look, this is
Hopefully
season 7.
somebody else will call it out
Well, that's
because
actually,
that can happen sometimes.
I have a prediction that I think Nick and Vanessa are gonna have a difficult time controlling the conversation amongst this cast because there is a
Mm,
lot to get through. And
yeah,
I feel like there are some people who didn't have the last word and they're gonna want to have the last word. And
yeah, like
I don't
Tim.
yeah, I don't know if they're gonna be able to control the flow of the conversation like they have in the past.
Yeah,
Um and I don't think they're gonna touch on the fact that like some people's behaviors were a bit controlling and abusive. It doesn't mean that they themselves are abusers, but
yeah,
their behavior, because I think we should remember we're seeing an edit, so let's just separate right now like the people from the behaviors we're seeing. Like
mm,
a lot of the behaviors we were seeing on camera were problematic. Like I think that's the
yeah,
bottom line. Most of us can agree on that. Whether or not Nick and Vanessa are going to address that is another question. And I think I don't know that they're gonna. I think they're gonna be able to get into Tyler, but I don't think they're gonna be able to really get into the root of it because I think it just exposes negligence on the part of the producers and the casting
that's
directors.
true.
So I think
Yeah,
they're gonna dance around it as much as they can. I wouldn't be surprised if, because Ashley does come off as someone who can be no nonsense, like because
hmm
she's a business owner, so I think she could step into that
yeah,
energy. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets so tense that she shuts the conversation down. She's just like, "Look, this is what it is, and it's done." Doop. On to
yeah.
the next question. I wouldn't be surprised.
And I'm very curious if how much this is blown up, because some of these other stuff, like last year with the whole Clay and AD, it was kind of like, all right, he wasn't a bad person per se. People were just mad because he said no at the altar, and just trying to say this and that about him. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, this
But
makes Clay and AD situation look like
look,
child's play.
yeah, look, child's play. And then this situation is more so like, how did y'all let this through? So I'm curious how this will impact casting's ability to find people, for this show.
Well,
Because at this
unfortunately,
point,
maybe like 2 seasons from now, maybe, because
yeah,
you were right. When I looked, I was like, okay, we're in a pattern of we got 2 seasons coming out a year,
yeah,
somewhere around February, March, and somewhere around like September, October. So
mhm.
if that is consistent and still true, season
Yeah,
8
they've
has
already
already
filmed.
been filmed, and we're currently filming season 9. So
Yeah. And I would think that at least, so when we're looking at people for season 10 and 11, like the folks who are being casted right now, I wonder if some of them are like, so did you do a background check? Because I ain't trying to have no husband who got 5 kids and owes $100,000. Like, I feel like that's the question that I'll be asking. Like, look, I want to find love, but are y'all doing background checks? Here's my social. Like, let's do these background checks, because otherwise I'm not coming on this show. Like
I
that type
also
of thing.
wonder too if the castmates are going to start to ask some of those important questions, because we even
Mhm.
saw on camera Ashley was like, yeah, I don't really like care about your finances or anything like that. I get where she's coming from, because I know
Yeah,
she doesn't mean it in the way that people will probably interpret it, but I think
yeah.
for her, she's just like, I'm not trying to look at all of like the materialistic stuff. However,
Mhm.
I do feel like the casting directors and the producers can only do but so much.
Yeah,
And I really think that they need to empower the cast to do their due diligence, especially in the pods, because
yeah.
that's the place to weed out people.
Mhm.
Um,
But shoot, he probably would have lied just like he did, right to her face. So I'm curious how, if she would have been able to fill out the fact that he was lying, um, if she had asked him, "So, where do you live? How much is your rent?"
I think
Like,
some of the nuances of that come down to a few things. And I think I had mentioned it in our last conversation where I was like, if someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. And the fact that Tyler, and this is a fine line, but the fact that he omitted the truth about something so big as having 3 kids that are biologically his,
mhm.
it would have been different if he was like, oh, I got three nieces and nephews. I ain't tell you about them. Okay, that really cool. That probably doesn't have anything to do with what we got going
Yeah,
on here, but I have new information. But you have there are 3 biological kids out there. And like, while some people might be like, well, he's just a sperm donor or whatever, people are not thinking long term. What if these kids end up with some sort of chronic condition or something like that and they need a donor match and Tyler is that only match? Like, I mean, and
mhm.
that I'm thinking catastrophic here, obviously, but
Yeah.
you have to, because once you're
Those things that
married,
happen.
it's going to impact you. Like now you have a
Mhm.
husband who's got to go to surgery and give a kidney or something to their child, and you don't know who these kids are, and you're just looking at them, they're staring at you, and it's no,
Mhm.
that puts her in a really bad position. So,
Yeah.
but the other side of that coin is when she did start asking clarifying questions, I do feel like, and this is just a feeling, she'll clarify obviously later this week, but I just feel like she really wanted to get married.
Yeah.
And you hear this theme, it's come up. Marissa said it, and it was very heartbreaking to hear her say it. But I think Ashley's in a season where she wants to be chosen fully, and who doesn't? We
Yeah.
all do. We all want to be chosen fully by
Mhm.
somebody, and I think she was willing to look past the omission and just give complete and total
Yeah.
trust and faith into Tyler, which is admirable because a lot of people are unable to do that in their relationships, and that makes it impossible for them to move forward. So I commend
Mhm.
her for being open in that way. I wonder if that was also a catch-22 for her, like a double-edged sword, where it was
Yeah.
like, wow, like you're being so open and vulnerable, and you're also giving him a lot of grace, which I think all of us deserve grace. But knowing what we
Mhm.
know now about him, I unfortunately feel like she kind of put herself in a situation that maybe she didn't even need to experience.
Yeah.
And I worry that what that's gonna mean for her later in the future, because whether we are all like, girl, run, blink twice, you know what I mean? But the truth of
Right.
the matter is that like she fell in love with him, she got married to him, so like whether they're currently together or not, like that is her husband.
Yeah.
And going through any kind of separation is going to be very difficult for both of them.
Yeah.
I feel for them because that's going to be hard.
And having to do it in front of billions of people at this
Yeah,
point,
you know what
you
I
know,
mean?
it's really hard. I really do hope that she's okay. I hope that she has the right people around her.
Hmm.
I hope that he can get himself together because he can't keep doing that.
He's got to
Like,
move. I'm just going to go ahead and be clear and stand up for the entire DMV Baltimore. He is going to have to
yeah,
move. Nobody
yeah,
here is going to touch you with a 10-foot pole. And honestly, we didn't even talk about all the things that we've heard allegedly, or things that we've pieced together. And if you've seen the grumblings and other things out there, I mean, Tyler has some prominent exes. So hmm, look, child,
yeah.
he
I
needs
know
to
she
just move.
happy.
He needs to move. He needs to go down south. I feel like someone down south will probably, be a little bit more lenient. But this area, people are too driven. People
Yeah.
have way too many goals and ambitions. And it is just way too expensive up here for him to be playing those kind of games. Like,
Hmm.
sir,
You
you
need
don't
to
have
get it
anywhere to
together.
live. And already they about to dock your pay for child support. So you ain't going to have no money either. Like,
And this
hmm,
and this show, like,
hmm,
the thing is, people think that they'll be able to get all of these endorsements and things like that, but that all depends on how you show up on camera.
yeah.
And that depends on, like, if there are a chunk of people that like you. The problem with him is that people don't like him anymore. Like, I think we would have liked him, but now that all the stuff came out, if he tells me to buy some Bounty paper towels, I'm not buying it because of him. He tells me to buy whatever liquor or some kind of chips or whatever else he feels like he's going to try to do. It's not going to work. And he's going to try to get a publicist or something, and we won't care in 3 months.
Yeah.
So I just highly suggest that he gets his life together
Yeah.
because it figures out some stuff outside of the limelight, and that he gets some people around him that will challenge him
Hmm.
and that will hold him accountable, so he does the things that he needs to do, and he don't keep swindling people.
Yeah, I
Like,
hope his mom can hold him accountable. I doubt it, but I hope so because I just feel
mhm.
like this situation with Tyler is so deep rooted that I think he's gonna need to do one. I think he's gonna have to move. I'm being honest. I think he
Yeah,
needs to leave this area.
yeah, he gotta go.
Um, and it's unfortunate because his kids are here. But if you are already acting the way you are now, like you probably should just go work on yourself and maybe come back. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I think he needs to do that, but I also think he needs to go to therapy and do some serious inner work. I think his um his childhood is playing a significant role here, and this is by no means an excuse, but I think it is an explanation, and I just personally feel that it is when people don't have the level of self-awareness and are not as mindful about how the absence of one parent can impact their behaviors and their decisions in adulthood. Like
Mhm.
it may not even feel connected,
Yeah,
but
but it
even
is.
but it is his decision to have three kids that he considers himself as their like as a sperm donor or whatever. Like, just the fact that he even refers to himself as that, it just lets me know, like, I feel like his behavior is a reflection of how he feels about himself and his situation.
Mhm.
And he needs to heal from that. And I really hope that he is able to heal from that so that he can be, if he wants to be. And at this point, if I don't even know what to call her at this point, ex
Yeah.
best friend or whatever,
Yeah.
if he still wants to be in the children's life, which I hope he does, because oh my God, like, when you're that young, you don't understand what's going on. You just know that this person
Yeah.
is not talking to you anymore. You think they hate you. You just
Mhm.
internalize all of that, and you just repeat, like, you've just sown seeds that are repeating the
Yeah.
same things in these beautiful young kids, which just, that breaks my
Mhm.
heart, because they didn't
Yeah.
ask for this. So I hope he does that inner work.
Yeah.
And you know, if for some reason him and Ashley are still together, I hope they're able to figure out a situation where, you know, they are prioritizing his relationship with the kids. Because I
Yeah.
mean, how terrible if, especially, your oldest is trying to call you and trying to reach you and hasn't been able to talk to you for over a year. Like, again, this is all allegedly, we don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
um if that is in fact true, that's horrible, because now
Mhm.
it's like, I mean, you're literally repeating what has happened to you with these
Yeah.
kids. And it makes me question his decision making. Again, I think very few
Mhm.
of the men on the show have showed themselves to be husband material, which was very
Definitely not.
unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely
And
not.
it just, if you it I, it's unfortunate, because even some of the interviews, like, you just hear people basically are like, yeah, the dating pool in the DMV has piss in it, and Love is Blind did not help this
Yeah.
region beat those allegations at all.
No. No. It's horrible. And so, I mean, I think that hopefully we'll get some closure from this week, and then I'm sure after the reunion we'll see some more interviews and things that people are doing that are unfiltered, where they're able to clear up some things on their own. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm just like, Love is Blind. Is Love blind? Definitely.
If you had that, I mean, if you asking me the question directly, is Love blind? No,
No.
especially
Yeah.
not here. It's not.
Yeah, definitely not here.
I'm
Like, love is
sorry.
your paycheck. Love is you look like all of the things.
Love
So,
is, are you ready to jet set off to another
right.
state? Love is very much like, how many kids do you have? I don't know.
Hmm. All the things. So, I don't know. We'll see. I can't wait for us to talk through next week's or Wednesday's episode. Again, if you're interested, anyone in another show for us to review, just let us know.
Yeah.
uh, because we might be interested in watching it. So we'll see. But thank you all for joining us today. Is Love Blind? No.
No,
It's
it's not.
not. All
It's
right.
not,
See
y'all.
y'all next week.
All right.
See y'all
Bye,
next
y'all.
time. Bye.